would say, reach out to them and see if they can join. Also, if you're an affiliate and you have a team and you have some leaders that you notice are not on the call today, I would say reach out to them and see if they can jump on, because I want to share some things that I think will be really valuable for everyone as we continue to evolve and grow this company. One of the bigger things about us, one of the great things about us, and also the challenge with us, is that we are so many things all at once that it takes a while to really truly understand this. And some of this is so almost unreachable for the average person, as far as like, if they haven't been in this um, conversation in their life. It's like being educated on finance. It's like being educated on how the world works. I don't know who's on the mute buttons, but
Mike, looks like Ed transferred host. Go ahead and make me a co-host, and I'll monitor that.
Oh, please.
Yes. Thank you.
So now we all have a common interest, and it's probably that we want to have a great life. And how do you have a great life? You have a great life by someone else or something. Okay. You have a great life, when you're happy, when you're healthy. And then there's an ingredient there that we all are aware of, is having access, right? So having access to some money, right? And me growing up, and I'll take you guys back a little bit, because this kind of fits into the story of this company, because it's not named Miracle by accident. I can tell you that right now. But when I was 4 years old, my family split up, and it was an unusual split up because my mother is Swedish, my dad is American, and we were in Los Angeles, and I was kind of living in in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood was mostly African American. I'm a mixed kid, and when we split up, I ended up on the other side of the world with my mother, who was raising me, my sister in Sweden all of a sudden, and on a part-time salary. And Sweden's a really great country because you kind of get taken care of there. So as a kid, it was fine. But then my dad, he started a business, and he did fairly well in his business, well enough to be able to afford to buy a plane ticket for me and my sister every summer. So we traveled from Sweden, we went to LA. And there, my dad had a house, we went to Disneyland, and we kind of had this amazing, experience. And then we would go back to Sweden, and we lived, in the suburbs of Sweden. And again, very little money, just enough to get by. And I saw the difference between what my dad had and what my mother had. And so I realized when I was young that having extra money meant that I actually got to grow up knowing my father rather than not knowing him, because there is no way that trip was going to happen on a part-time job salary that my mom had. So I very early knew that I wanted to have money. So I had made a sort of a commitment that I would become a millionaire at 25. So I got on a plane at 18, 2 suitcases, and $80 in my pocket, and I moved back to LA in pursuit of success, and didn't realize what it takes. So 25 came and went, wasn't a millionaire. 30 came and went, 35 came and went, 40 came and went, 45 came and went, and then just past 50, I actually became a crypto millionaire. So 25 years after my goal, but I never stopped trying. And during that time, as I was trying all of these different ways of becoming a millionaire, I actually became something. I became somebody who knew a lot about a lot of stuff, and I knew a lot about why things didn't work. So during the time that COVID was going on, I had basically ended up back at my mom's house. I was sort of trying to restructure my life. And me and Ray, we started a crypto community, CWS. And every Saturday we would get on a call and I would basically talk about what we were going to do as a community. We were going to, become wealthy in 3 to 5 years. And I sort of had this vision of what we were going to do. And every Saturday we talked about it and we taught each other to be resilient. We taught each other that risk is the new safe. We saw everything that happened in COVID, and a lot of people got wiped out in COVID who played the safe game. So we realized safe is not even safe. And now looking at all these bank failures and people who have money in the safe place, the bank, have now lost their money, right? So we were doing all those things, and during that time, I actually did become a crypto millionaire. And from one of the things that we were talking about, which was never broke again. That's basically because I had heard so many stories of people who had succeeded in crypto just to end up back broke, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen to me. So I was at a pub in Gothenburg, Sweden, and I sat next to this woman, and she started talking about real estate in Cyprus, and I had only heard about Cyprus, kind of, and I got on a Zoom call with her, and I found out that they were selling real estate with crypto. So I was like, well, okay, I need to get some of this out of crypto because we've heard crypto goes up and then it comes down, and it's not pretty when it comes down. So I'm like, let me buy a condo. So I bought a condo on a Zoom call. And I don't know what you're doing, Melanie, but it looks like we got that 100 limit thing happening. So we should have had this on my line.
Yes. Sorry.
I don't know if we can arrange something where we can have people chime in, but anyway, so then I buy a condo online, and I'm like, okay, well, let me go to Cyprus to see what's going on in Cyprus. I'm a person who has a gut feeling. So I had a gut feeling and went to Cyprus, stepped off the plane. And when I got off that plane, I felt like there's something going on here. There's something special for me here. And I found myself in the offices of Miracle Cash&More a few months down the line. And here's this guy with an English accent with a marker in his hand, and he starts to paint out this company in front of me. And I'm actually going to kind of go to these slides now, I think. So that's so let me share my screen. Apologize for the little dramatic pause here. So let me see if I'm correct here with this. There. All right. So it's not going to be as pretty as I want it to be, but okay. So there I am watching Hakan Turhan, the founder of Miracle Cash. And he's drawing up this company on a whiteboard. And I'm looking at it, and I've been in crypto since 2015. I am familiar with everything. And what he's describing to me looks like a company that could possibly become one of the biggest crypto companies, if not the biggest crypto company in the planet. And he was basically taking me through an education on what's possible with crypto. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so this is a crypto exchange that has storefronts. I mean, like beautiful stores, walk in, do your crypto business, talk to someone, and after having 2 years of teaching crypto online, I immediately said, yeah, that is the way to go, because people who are getting started in crypto, they need that comfort, you know? So I'm thinking, well, I will probably, if he's pitching me the store, I was thinking I would probably get one, because I could think that a store could maybe make me $1 million a year. And once I have one, maybe I can have two or three. So I was into it. And I had actually told my friend a few years before that I thought there was going to be stores in the future and I would want one. So it was kind of like lining up with something I had already said. At the end of the presentation, he said, so what we're doing is a franchise. And I had heard that word in the presentation. And I figured franchise, so I obviously thought the store. But then he said, I'm actually selling the rights to the entire country. And when I heard that, in that moment, as I was sitting there, it hit me that what I was looking at, if I could possibly be part of it, I could become a billionaire. No joke. So I just looked at him and I said, okay, the whole country, like, what do you mean? You would get the rights to the whole country. So every transaction in that country, you would make money on. You will even have the rights to sell the stores to other people. And I was like, well, I know for sure I won't be able to afford that license. He said, well, the first few ones, I'm going to make it affordable. And it's got this, it'll be somewhere around 800,000 to $1.2 million. And I was thinking, I had read somewhere that a McDonald's is $1 million. Okay, a McDonald's is $1 million, and I'm like, well, there's a limit to how much money you can make in a McDonald's by how many burgers that kitchen can cook on a daily basis. That's it. But what I'm looking at here, there's no limit to this. This is a limitless franchise, and I'm like, okay. So I thought, if you have the things that you described to me, if you actually have them, if you have built them, then I'm absolutely interested. So let me think about this and let me do some research on you. I spent 4 months researching and doing my due diligence on Miracle Cash&More. And at the end of 4 months, I knew that I wanted to be involved in this. And I ended up putting a small group of people together. So it was me and a few others, and purchased the license for Germany. 2 months later, we purchased the license for France. So now I'm shareholder in Germany, shareholder in France, and I'm getting more and more interested in Miracle. And I'm starting to help them with different things. And one day he invites me into an office and he looks at me and says, with what you're doing, you're changing what's happening here with Miracle. And I really appreciate it. And I think you should be an owner. And he said, I would not sell these shares for any money. If someone walked in today and offered me $100 million, I would not sell this portion that I'm giving you. And I looked at Hakan and I looked him in the eye. I said, that is extremely generous of you. He said, yeah, well, here's the thing. You're now VP of sales, and what you're doing and what you've done with France and Germany, I want you to continue to do that. And I can do my thing on the back end, and you just bring this company to the next level with me. And I said, okay, let's do it. And then the next day I woke up and I freaked out, and I just said, how in the heck am I going to be able to do that? I've never done anything like this before. So later on, two of the investors pulled out of Germany and France. So it left a $500,000 hole in the money that we needed to open those two markets. And so, Ray had become involved with us a little bit more at that point, and we were talking about it. And basically, he said, the community we've been building, why don't we check with them to see if they're interested? Do you think it's possible that we can actually make these shares smaller, like divide these shares up in smaller increments? And I thought about it, and I knew that, when you're divided up in more increments, there's going to be more people, and with more people comes more paperwork, more challenges and everything. But I said, let's see what happens. 2 weeks later, we had basically sold $500,000 worth of micro shares of the franchises of Germany and France. And then when we looked at that, we said, oh my God, this reminds me of this new way of doing things, which is called tokenization. How about we create a company that tokenizes the franchises? Now, what is that? So tokenization is a process that converts the rights and benefits to a particular unit of value into a digital token that lives on the blockchain. And I know I'm spinning everybody's head around now who haven't heard that word before. But I'm telling you, what we actually discovered, kind of almost by like a little bit of it just sort of was a coincidence. What we discovered happens to be what's happening in the world right now is a paradigm shift. This technology of tokenization is a paradigm shift. Okay? Now I'm going to explain that a little bit. But basically, what we're doing is that 75% that the master franchise agreement gets from the miracle sales is being tokenized into small fractions. And those small fractions will turn into huge profit centers for the owners of these tokens, because the profits from these countries will be paid out to those token holders. And we're going to explain a little bit more about that. But I wanted to cover what's happening here. We're talking about, and this is HSBC, that's pulled data from the World Economic Forum, and they released a report that is the greatest, most profound piece of financial news that we probably have ever heard. And it's basically the size of the traditional markets that will benefit from this thing that we did by accident, in a sense, is $867 trillion. Okay? And it's $27 trillion that will flow into this space over the next 4 years. So let's just talk about trillion for a minute, because I think people don't realize what a trillion is. If you take $100 bill and you put another one on top of it, and then you put another one on top of that, and then you put another one on top of that, after a little while, you have a little stack of hundreds. Now, if you did that with $1 trillion, you would have a stack that is 670 miles high. 670 miles high is into space. Okay? And 867 of those is what the tokenizing space is like, the size of that. Now, I have in one of this here, if you look at this slide here, currently 1% of the world population controls almost half of all the wealth. Now, why is that? It's because the old system, the legacy systems with paper contracts, lawyers, and processes has only made it available for the richest people, the most affluent people, to own these types of opportunities. So when we look at what we did, was we took something that normally would be an opportunity for people who have big money, and we made it available for the average person's budget. So let's look at really quick what happened with Germany. Now, Germany, we have secured a deal with a company called Vodafone, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with that company. It's one of the bigger, mobile phone companies in the world, and so they have 4,000 locations in Germany, right? That's our first deal in Germany, and that's because of some products that we have. Now, that deal, and I'll later share why, to us is worth $3 billion. It's a $3 billion deal on the very low end based on the three products that we um, that we will offer in those 4,000 stores. Now, normally, that 3 billion would go to venture capitalists, it would go to angel investors, again, people who already are billionaires. So billionaires basically adding to their billions, right? Instead, it's going to go to hundreds of people who are part now of that project. Normal people, you and me, normal people. That's why this tokenization thing is exciting, because 1% of the world owning half of the wealth is an unbalanced world. That's why there's places in the world that they don't have anything. They got dirt roads, they don't have an economy, and they're hungry. So what this is about to do, this technology, it's about to impact the world by changing that number. Maybe instead of 1%, we will see 20%. And when we see 20%, we will see that the world becomes more wealthy. It's not like there's a certain amount of wealth in the world and that's it, and that's it. There's no more wealth. You can actually create wealth with technology. Technology changes everything, and technology creates wealth. So this is basically the door to the world has opened up with this technology, and we happen to be at the center of it with Miracle Cash&More. So Miracle Cash&More is a transactional company. Here are some of the parts to what it is. And one thing to understand is that there is some meat on the bones with this company. It's not just fluff. What's been built that are really unique and that no one else has is that we have a CRM, which is customer, and a transactional foundational software program that can track transactions throughout the entire world. And it also has a core, it has a switch, which is a transactional verifying software, which takes at minimum 3 years to build and is insanely difficult to get approved. And then you have, on top of that, a core banking system, which is also extremely hard to complete. But that is the core of this Miracle Cash&More company. And you go, well, why are they doing that? Well, what's happening here in the world is that the world really is transactions. We are transactions. Every single day when something real happens, it's a transaction. And so the world as it was in its paper processes and its challenges in that world, when that then gets removed, what you have is a new world where transactions are much easier and they are handled by smart contracts that do all the heavy lifting. So our B2C services are a vast variety of way that we can tap into what's happening in the world. You have your ATMs out there. You have your terminals in stores. You have that international processing of trillions of dollars where with one swipe of Visa and MasterCard, 1 to 3% of the world's digital flow transactions are funneled into one place. Now that is about to change because the blockchain is a game changer. And what you see now is dying, and what's coming is a different way of doing things. So when we looked at it, is how do we then position ourselves to be part of this world of transactions? We studied the $600 billion remittance industry that have 800 million recipients. Of course, I just touched on this, the merchant services, point of sale transactions, $1 trillion industry. And we already have $8 trillion worth of Bitcoin blockchain transactions back in 2022. So the volume of transactions are already merging over onto the blockchain, and we're seeing that, but we're seeing way few users with massive volume. So we have 44 million users, and we have $8 trillion worth of transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. So we spoke about this. There's a new world that's shifting, and we see now that this world, in our viewpoint, will be through remittances done through crypto purchases in retail shops, and then also crypto liquidation in another one of our retail shops. And then we see buying and selling being done in our physical locations and also facilitated. And the security of that is the KYC and the AML, which is Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering laws that you have to actually abide by and fit into. And that's what Miracle is doing. So here is the vision. We have Miracle, Cash&More physical locations. We started with 3 in our test market. We tested, we failed, we learned, and we built the CRM, and then we built the model. And now we have 8 active leases in Europe, and you'll see openings happening throughout the next 3 to 4 months all throughout Europe. So we have then that infrastructure of stores that will actually be placed out all throughout the world, all throughout Europe now. We're looking at Africa, we're looking at South America, and we're looking at basically a plethora of services that mimics what the old system used to do. We have our crypto ATM terminals. That's buy, sell, and send. We have our Miracle electronic terminals. Now this fits into any retail shop. So when you think that the superior technology to money is blockchain, just like superior technology to movies is the streaming technology that Netflix uses, for instance, and now a lot of TV is streaming as well, as the digital camera is to the old film camera, as the email obviously is to the old snail mail. Okay, so that is the writing is on the wall that is what's happening, and that's why Miracle Cash&More was built the way that it was built. It's because we're getting ready to actually position ourselves to capture the trillions of dollars that are flowing into the space by being built for the future. We created our own stable coin, which will compete against the existing ones. For those of you who are in crypto, you're familiar with obviously USDT. You got the Binance stable coin. You have the USDC, which we're having trouble recently. Now, this will be the only stable coin in the world that is 100% insured against depegging against the US dollar. So this coin will always be exactly $1 and be transparent, verified as such by third-party insurance companies and a surety trust that ensures even if the bank where the money is held fails, we are protected. And when that coin moves, which it will, and there will be billions of dollars moving in the world with this coin, the fee will be charged in the Phoenix token, which is also our token. Our token will be involved in the transactions that are happening throughout the world. And we are currently building our own node system that will validate these transactions and be rewarded in the Phoenix token. And boy, will those people who own those nodes be happy with those disbursements. So we know transactions are the key, NFTs are the bridge, and validation is the fuel for this new world. So in short, we have built the world's first ground up tokenization transaction ecosystem. Okay, and we take a part of this NFT and you have a fractionalized ownership onto a membership. This membership has a percentage of all sales in our retail stores, web, ATM, point of sale services, and other services that Miracle provides. And in that expansion is where our members can be part of this. So I was describing a little bit about Germany, so I want to backtrack to that. So, and this is maybe a really good way to describe, the power of our products as well. So the Vodafone owner who has 4,000 stores, you can imagine it's not easy to get a meeting with someone like that to try to sell them a service. They understand and know the power that they have because that network of stores have been built over the last 2 decades or more. Started with one, then he had 6, 20, 30, 100, 200, and ended up with 4,000. So you can imagine how eager a solicitor would be to get into that network because of the power, the sales power of 4,000 stores. So being we're not a new company because we've been in existence for over 6.5 years, but what we're doing now is new to the world, right? So we described to this owner our product, and immediately they said, if you have this, we're in. And what is it that we have? Well, we have obviously our crypto terminals. So people walking into these stores can use, Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever to purchase their phones or pay for things that they need. Then we have something called Miracle with Installments. Now, what is that? Basically, Miracle with Installments will allow someone to walk into that store. They lay their eyes on the iPhone 14, wishing they could afford it. They don't have it. Now, maybe they can make payments. Of course, usually these stores have an existing way to make payments on their phones. But here comes Miracle with Installments, where we will be able to approve more people and we'll be able to do those installments at a better rate than the existing service. And we will not force that customer to go under contract with the service to do that. So the store owners, and another thing too, we will actually be able to include the store owner in the profit of that program. So then we know that we will be the preferred program for people who want to buy their phone on a payment plan. Now, can you guys maybe put a 1 in the chat box if you actually have your phone on a payment plan? Because we're estimating that it's more people And if you don't have it on a payment plan, put a 2 so we can see how these 1s and 2s come out. But we think there's more people that actually choose to do it on a payment plan than to buy their phone outright. And so when we do the numbers on, and then I see the 1s and the 2s, and it looks like more than once, but it's probably like 50-50 or somewhere around there. But let's say that we do one phone a day. Say it's an iPhone for $1,400. On that, we will do a profit of $150. Now, from the crypto terminal, we know that we're going to do well, but we're saying, well, let's say that we only do $10 profit per day on our crypto terminals. Then all these Vodafone stores are also wanting to be a Miracle Cash&More trading desk, which means that people can walk in and actually trade crypto in the Vodafone stores. So they can come in with $1,000 and buy Bitcoin, or they can come in with Bitcoin and get cash. Now, we have a store that we're operating in Amsterdam, and the volume in that store has fluctuated between 80,000 euros a day to 140,000 euros a day. And we say if we only do $1,000 a day per store and $10 from the terminal and one phone, which will put us around $300 in profit. Those, and listen to me now, that network of stores will net the master franchise $360 million a year. Okay? The value of that franchise becomes $3.6 billion. We bought it for $1.5 million, and with one single deal, we have a potentially $3.6 billion valuation on that franchise. When I sat in that chair and Hakan was showing me the plan of what it was doing, I knew it was powerful. And I knew that there's a chance that I could become a billionaire, but not from one deal. Not from one deal did I ever think that we could achieve that. But that is what the numbers are telling us. So I'm saying we have an insanely powerful platform. And as far as, an affiliate program of this ever being done before, there's nothing that can scratch the surface of the potential that this has. Nothing has ever come even close to that. And this is why. This is the list of companies that are under Miracle Cash&More. And when you put them up against the existing crypto companies, they don't even come close. And if you look at Binance, you know that this is a multi-billion-dollar company. And here you have an opportunity to get a piece of that. And I think that there's been a lot of you who've been listening to our presentations over the months, and you've gotten used to our opportunity. It's Miracle, and and this happened, and things aren't smooth, but it looks pretty good and all that. But let me tell you something. It takes someone as bright as Hakan to understand how good it is. I'm through being next to him for months, starting to get it. And look at this thing now. And then when he said that his goal was to sell this company 4 years from now for $200 billion, I looked at him like, come on. And he turned around and said, I believe that. And he walked away. Now I understand what he's seeing by seeing what's happening with these deals. Because of that Vodafone deal in Germany, we closed another deal in Netherlands for 2,000 stores, and we're selling the Benelux NFT for 5,000. I mean, come on. break down the value of the NFT. Do the math. 1,000 German NFTs. The franchise is worth $3.6 billion. Do the math on that and put it in the chat so we can all see what that math says that NFT is worth from that one deal. And then consider whether or not you should own more of these NFTs or if your friends and family should own these, because it's insane. So here's a little bit of a map of what Miracle offers. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we've added 3 more products to that we're going to release pretty soon that you guys will be absolutely floored by. So then we looked at everything that we're doing, and a lot of people are kind of, you get your eye rollers, they're rolling their eyes. We tell the story about who we are, and they say, that's impossible. That can't be. There's no way that they would allow us to be part of something so great. It doesn't happen. And I kind of agree with you guys. It's not normal, and it really is unusual. And it's probably also improbable, number one, that opportunity is available for someone who's not already a multimillionaire or billionaire. But it's also improbable that you actually are at the right place at the right time to actually have an opportunity to see it at this stage, because the world is big and there's thousands of presentations going on every single day, and you just happen to be at the best one. Now, so to answer that, what Hakan did, he said, well, let's prove who we are. So he said, let's get a DCF done on our company. And I said, what is that? He said, it's a discounted cash flow analysis. I'm like, okay, what is that? He said, well, if you want to sell a company, what they do is they come in and analyze the value of that company so that they can actually set the right price. And there's over 200 variables. We're talking about dissecting everything about that company and then building it back up and then presenting what the value is. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. He's like, yeah, we got a lady who's going to do it. A week later, she had contacted the authority of that process in Turkey, a professor of the most prestigious college, and he got on a flight and flew in right away from what he heard. And he was in our office and he looked at Hakan and said, I've never seen anything as exciting as this. This is incredible. He's like, I will do the DCF on Miracle Cash&More, and I will do the DCF on each country so that you can transfer that value over to the NFT itself. Then I'm going to take it to Ernst & Young and have them verify it. And when I do that, you can take that NFT to the bank and get a loan against the value of that NFT. That's how secure that process is. They are within 5% of fault on what the value of the company is and then what the value of each country will be. So we're doing that so we will actually have the world's first collateralized NFT. So we're about to make news that you guys don't even realize what's about to happen. Once people get a hold of what we're doing, our stable coin, our collaterals, NFTs, our stores, it's game over. And you guys will be so happy that you were involved when times were rough, because that's when you could actually get these NFTs as this incredible price. So we believe that a financial paradigm shift is upon us. And we believe that proof of transactions showing true revenue will actually create lending opportunities. So our NFT holders will actually be able to, and we talked about this, we're going to run this directly through our own company. So you'll be able to actually go onto our website, request that loan, and get those funds wired directly into your bank account. So with that, I'm sure there's a lot of people whose heads are spinning right now because you're used to seeing a very different presentation. But this is really the heart and soul of the company. We intend to be at the center of transactions throughout the world. We intend that our company will change the economy of countries and cities across the world. Because when transactions are easy, when ownership is easy, when you can take what used to be a long paper process and actually do a couple of clicks and own something that sits maybe somewhere on the other side of the world, a piece of property, a real estate, or a company, or anything, and you can own that as a regular person for maybe $1,000 or even $100, and you can be part of the digital economy. That's when the world changes, and that's what Miracle Cash and More. So we are looking at a financial paradigm shift. So I wanted to turn this over to, I don't know if Ed was going to be able to come in and just maybe describe a couple of our NFTs, or if he just kind of came in to say hi and.
Hey, Micah, I'm back. My Wi-Fi dropped. I am back. So do you want to, when you say a couple of our NFTs, do you want me to just talk about Boogie G and maybe?
Yeah, maybe the Boogie Gopher Club and also the Benelux in the UK. And I know, we have that affiliate program, so maybe you can kind of finish up with that. And,
Cool.
And then I think
I'll jump right to that area in the slides. I'll get right to that. So I'm going to go slideshow, and let's see, is my screen up now?
Not yet, no.
Okay, let's go here. Share on my side. Okay, here we go. I'm going to kind of pick it up at my favorite point based on the first conversation I had about this with Ray Vidrio. And we got to this point, and Ray talked about potentially what the revenue from, we were talking about specifically the UK NFT, and based on just looking at a few of the avenues, being the Miracle Exchange buy, sell, and trade, and the Miracle automatic vending machines, and the electronic terminals, and we started talking about collectively. What Ray said to me back then was, it looks like year one could actually bring in marketing revenue of over $100,000. And when we talked about the big numbers, we know that sometimes they're too big. I mean, really, we go modest and keep cutting them back because we want it to look more realistic. But the possibilities are there, and profit in year one potentially to be over 20,000 to 100,000, year two 50 to 250, year three, and everybody who's been here has seen these. But this is the point that Ray really got me, and again with your conversation with Hawken, and having met Hawken, one of the things I loved about him was his absolute certainty, no nonsense. We talked about his statement that we're going to sell the company for $200 billion, and he said we're going to sell a company for $200 billion. That's it, And he understands the numbers and all. And Ray said to me, based on year four, getting more than 10 times earnings, could be over $10 million per NFT sale. And that to me just like blew my mind. So in addition, we get, with the UK promotion, there's only, a few dozen left of the UK, and each and every one of them also shares in 50% of the profit of the Northern Cyprus. And then we have Benelux, right? Benelux being 100% of Belgium's revenue goes into Miracle Cash and More, 50% of the Netherlands, and 100% of Luxembourg. There's only 2,000. We sold the first 500 at a ridiculous price. I mean, Michael, when you said 2,500, I'm like, oh my goodness, these are going to sell out fast, and they did. And now we're at 5,000, but that's just for the time being. And I don't know, Micah, if we have the exact timeline, but from what I've been understanding we're going up to 10,000 per Benelux, probably right here within the next few days. So if you can get in at 5 right now, unless there's been a price change that I didn't see yet, I know we're going up to 10,000 on the Benelux.
Yeah,
And
just
so,
so everybody understands that it's not like, oh, we're raising the price, so we can keep the money. None of this goes to us. This is to actually open and to build this company. So this is money for the company to thrive and for everyone to make as much money back as possible. So when we say it's going up because we need to take the capital in, to open Belgium, Luxembourg, and Netherlands, to build the stores, to do all the things necessary to launch that business, and that's why it's basically the reason.
And looking at it from a business perspective, Mike, when I came and I met you in Cyprus, I said this is crazy. I mean, from 5,000, these things should sell for 25, 50, 100,000 based on what is really going to be the value of them. So it's a steal as it is at 5 and at 10, and understanding that we're helping to really build the model. In that process, the reward on our end is exceptional. And so we also talk about the first and second generation. You invite people. Think about inviting people to the most incredible club the world has ever seen. I mean, that's what I believe we have here. I believe we have a club that once this comes to maturity, every one of us is going to look back and say, oh my goodness, I should have done more. I should have bought more NFTs. I should have talked to more people. I should have got more done, because we're going to look back and, what they say, hindsight is 2020. We're going to look back and realize, oh my goodness, yes, we're extremely grateful for what we have. It's an incredible blessing, and for all of us that are here and own them, it's going to be an amazing lifestyle. But in the process, we make decisions every day, right? And I'm just thinking about it. I'm looking at my portfolio and going, okay, where am I going next, and what am I doing next? Because the opportunity just keeps on presenting itself, another incredible value after the other. And when you could share this with people and help them out and bless them in the process, we get rewarded 10% of whatever they purchase. And then when they invite people to the club, 5% of that. And there's no limitations on how many first or second generations there can be. And then the fun part. This is the fun part. I always like to say I love things that are fun, simple, and fast. And not understanding NFTs coming into Cashflow NFT, now having a good understanding about NFTs, man, I love the fact that, Micah, you have that component within you also to love things that are fun. I mean, when you were telling me about the music video for Boogie G, I'm going, okay. And then you told me, it's got kind of this little rhythm to it from the Shaft, theme song. And I was visualizing that. And then I saw you're bragging, you're saying, yeah, this is a music video that I think the video could go viral. And then we saw it, and it just keeps growing on. Every time we watch that music video, I'm like, this is so cool. I mean, if you stop and listen to the words, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if you wrote it, Micah, but I'm thinking about a cherry apple red Impala, the little things that in there, that just made
we had all of us were in the music video, and we had NFT holders that were part of writing the song. So it was a family type project, a community project.
And that's what really makes it phenomenal. So we have that fun component. We get to travel the world, have fun, really do good, get involved in philanthropic efforts.
Our vision is a virtual country club. So imagine all of our NFT owners becoming basically millionaires. And then we have a virtual country club, and we have the most advanced financial education available in the world for all of our country club members. And then we take all of that wealth and power and we do great things with it. We change the world for the better with it. That's our mission.
It is amazing. The people that we're attracting, I mean, just like Dolph the Roof. When I found out Dolph the Roof was engaged in our community, and I had the opportunity to get on a Zoom with him, I was giddy. I grabbed the book Real Estate Riches that I bought probably 15 years ago. And I said, "Oh man, I read this book back in whatever it was." And Robert Kiyosaki and Tony Robbins and all the things that he's done. Then to find out what his projects have been and how he wants to bring what he knows and what he does to the community, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'd love to become friends with this guy, learn from him. And then, of course, you and I and Ray have an intimate relationship with Mr. Marcus Seta, second to none. He's part of the community, and who knows who else is going to become part of this community. So it's this
Everyone will be part of it. Everyone exciting will be part of this community.
Yeah, and we can throw names around and pontificate, but they're coming. I know they're coming because what we got is the coolest thing ever. So that's pretty much it. And we go into, at this point in time, we go into the Miami event. I don't know if you want to play that video or not, but we usually end the day with that video. I'm going to stop share because I think we've done a lot of melodies here with us. I don't know if you guys want to end this with that video. I could pull it up, but
I just want to know there are some Germanys that we have that are left. They're obviously priced much higher than what we have in our regular inventory, but we do have a few. So if there's people that are interested in that, what will happen? Just so everyone understands this is not like we will have a report on each country of what the value truly is. That's as official. That's so official that the bank will lend against that report. So it's like having a home and you don't have any loans on it, and then they do an assessment in your neighborhood on what the value of home is. What is that? An appraisal. That's what's happening here. It's an appraisal of our company that will be transferred onto the NFT itself because the NFT has a right to a piece of that value, right? So when that happens, that can happen 2 weeks from now. We could come out with a Germany valuation NFT of, $200,000. We don't know. I don't do the work, so I can't say this is what will happen. We know long term that these things will increase in value. And we also know that we right now have a high value. We just don't know the number yet. But, understand this. So we've been talking about this with the Board 8, for instance, So Board 8 went from I don't know, within $100 when they first sold them or something like that. And they went up. They went up to 200,000, 250,000. They went really high. And then I think they also came down quite a bit or whatever. But people were buying them because the trend was that they were going up. And that was it. And people were selling them. And it was kind of like, do I believe that they're going to be worth more tomorrow or less? And the ones that believe maybe less, maybe they would sell them. And the buyers believe that it will be worth more. So that's kind of the game of that. But what we have now is we have this amazing thing, right? So you own a Spain, you own a few NFTs, right? And so then valuation says 200,000. You can now go to the bank and get 65% loan to value, right? Now, if someone offered you 300,000 for that NFT, would you sell it? No, right? What about 400,000? What about $500,000? Okay, so we can go up, and there might be at some point some price that even Ed would buckle for, right? He'd be like, all right, fine, I got another one, okay, I'll take the $1 million, there'll be, right?
2.5, I'll take 2.5.
It's supply demand, right? 2.5, that's your number. You say, yeah, I probably will sell at 2.5, right? But I mean, come on, this is the reality of it, right? It's on OpenSea and it's for sale. But you can actually go get money from the bank and not sell it. And then when the value of the NFT increases, you can go get another loan from the bank. And guess what? That loan is tax free. But if you sell it, how are you're going to have to pay tax on it. So what I'm saying is, we don't know what will happen. We can't predict this, but I'm looking at it going, well, these things may not these prices may shoot up into the millions because people don't want to sell them because they don't have to sell them. They can go get a loan against them instead. Then what happens to the price, right? So it's really kind of a crazy thing that has never been done before. It's the first ever, so that's why we don't know what will happen. But think to yourself, those of you who are owners on this, at what point would you sell? And maybe that's where the price goes. Maybe Spain goes to 2.5 million. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's such a cool situation with that that we're starting to get excited about. And I think this is the most exciting project I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm obviously biased, but it's exciting.
We all agree. And Mike, I want to say to you, on behalf of everybody that is here, thank you. Thank you for taking the risk. Thank you for spending the time. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for coming up with the idea of Cashflow NFT, because you could have kept it all to yourself, right? You could have kept getting small groups of investors and just expanded country by country with small groups of investors. But to create an opportunity for the masses, that anybody who's entrepreneurial has an ounce of entrepreneurial blood. We all know that 5,000 to 10,000 is not what it takes to open up a business. Heck, if you wanted to start a landscaping business right now and you were going to hire a few guys and buy a few mowers and get all that stuff, you could spend $50,000, $100,000 just to get that business going. And I look at this and I go, wow, I don't want to mow lawns. I want to cut down trees. I like just getting on Zooms and talking to people, and we could do this all day long. I mean, this is fun, right? And that's what we have here. We have a business model that is, like you said, is the biggest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I've heard about exit strategies, and I know of people who have engaged, and I know one gentleman who was his executive secretary was my wife's aunt. And he was one of the CEO of one of the largest telecommunications companies everybody knows the name of, and his golden parachute package, was basically stock options that made him about $30 million, and that was back in the late '90s, and that was pretty cool. Now I hear about companies that are selling in the hundreds of millions, and I've seen this happen numerous times. Exit strategy, it's built to sell. Never thought I'd have the opportunity to be involved in something like that. And I'm thankful to. So on behalf of everybody.
I mean, I think, okay, so the part that I played was I tried my whole life and I did so many different things and I failed so many times. That's my part. But I did say a silent prayer when I was in my mom's house and my credit card bill was the same as the money that I had. And I've been living in LA my whole life. And in LA, I can always pick up the phone because I had a network and I could always make something happen. But I felt like, for the first time, I felt like I couldn't make it happen. I was in a suburb in Sweden on a different time zone. So I'm like, how on earth am I going to get out of this situation? And I sort of stopped and I said a prayer and I said, okay, fine. Getting out of here is not going to be me. It's going to be you, God. And okay, when I do, let's do this. You lead me. I do your work. I do what you want me to do, right? And it was like it was just a thing, right? I was like, okay, fine. And it just came over me like, okay, well, I need to do something that's not about me, bigger than me. And I was just saying I'm ready for it, and maybe I've had this in me my whole life in a sense, and you could kind of say these things and blah blah blah, but hey, listen, 6 months later I was a millionaire, right? A couple of months after that I was in Cyprus meeting Hakan, and now we're here, and Cashflow NFT's done 16 million. We got like what I believe is the future platform of transactions, and it's benefiting hundreds and it's going to benefit thousands of people And we're creating an army of wealthy people, right? We're creating an army of wealthy people who I believe want to do good things in the world. So I'm thinking, in a sense, the movement and the truth and the mission of what this is, and I believe it's something bigger than just making money, you know. And I'm not using this in a salesy way. I'm saying this is what I'm seeing, because the things that have happened in this journey have been unexplainable. And hey, come on, the name of the company is Miracle. I mean, let's get real. I mean, come on, right? So,
Mike, if I could,
yeah, I appreciate the
you
acknowledgement.
said some things, and without getting too much into our spirituality, the word "ask" to me is such a huge word, right? The acronym for "ask" comes straight out of the Bible. Ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall open.
Mm.
So, what I encourage everybody to do is do that on a periodic basis. Because we all know there's ups and downs, there's good times and bads, and sometimes we get fears and doubts and apprehensions and all that kind of stuff. But if we ask for his guidance like you did, if we seek his plan, our will for you, Lord, and if we knock, the door shall be open. And if we give him the glory and thank the infinite, thank the creator of the universe, thank the miraculous one who creates miracles, I believe we're going to continue to get blessed and give him the honor. And I think what we have here is, I think everything that each and every one of us have done in our life up until this point in time has prepared us for this moment in time. So let's go seize the day.
Everyone's welcome, whatever that looks like for you. You're perfect the way you are, whatever you are, whatever your way of doing things are. But we're having a very, very special experience with this company. And those of you who are in this, don't freak out. Don't be afraid when things don't go smooth. It's just part of the journey. It's not perfect. But help us make this happen together, and we will get there, and it's coming fast. So appreciate everyone. Thank you so much,
Micah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today, man. You just lit everybody up, and that's I'm so stoked and so excited. It just keeps getting better.